Hi everyone. So just really quick, I had an issue with the screen share on my video, so if you can just pull up my PowerPoint next to the video, I'll let you know when to flip through the slides, so hopefully that can work for the presentation. And so now to get started. My name is Michaela LaPatin. I'm a rising senior at Bucknell University. I'm a double major in civil engineering and management. I currently intern at my second summer at Forrester Construction Company. I work on site every day at a project called Wakefield High School, which is in Arlington, Virginia. Today I'm going to share with you some of my observations and experiences that I've encountered on site and more specifically within the job trailer at my project site. So now I'll switch to the next slide. So this is just an overview of what my presentation is going to be about. So first I'm going to give you a quick introduction to, in my opinion, what you really need to know about construction in order to understand what I'm going to talk to you about. So just some quick and simple things. Then I'm going to talk to you about Wakefield High School, which is my project. So I'm going to give you some background information on the project, so hopefully it'll help you understand again a little bit what I'm going to talk about. Then I'm going to introduce you to my project team. These are the guys that work for Forrester and are in the job trailer with me every day. Then I'm going to talk about project managers and then superintendents, who are kind of the two sides of construction for a GC. Then I'm going to talk about the interviews that I conducted with a lot of the people on my project team. I'm going to go into some of the challenges that we all face every day and what most of these guys face every day on site. And then the last part of my PowerPoint is going to be about motivation, about what makes these people want to come back every day after facing lots of challenges, each day on site. So now again, switch the slide. So we should be on the third slide now. So this is Construction 101. So basically the way that a project works in the construction world is you'll have an owner. In our instance, our owner is Arlington Public Schools. They pay for the work. They decide that they want something built, like a high school, and they then go out and hire an architect and a general contractor. So the architect designs all of the work. They decide what they want it to look like and kind of the pretty side of everything. Then the GC, which is my company, Forrester, will then come in and coordinate the work. They decide how it's going to be built, how they're going to make the architect's work look the way they want it to. And then a GC will then hire out all of the work to subcontractors. So they're the ones who actually do the work, the hammer and nails kind of guys. So the general contractor is in charge of coordinating all of those subs. Okay, so now that you know a little bit about kind of the basics of construction, let's switch the slide. So this is Wakefield High School. It's a reconstruction project, so what we actually did is build a new school right next to the existing school, and as we build this new school, once our new school is complete, they're going to knock down the old school. So like I said, the general contractor is Forrester. This project's about a $93 million project, so and it's 150,000 square foot footprint, 400,000 square feet total. So if you don't know what really all of that means, it just means it's a very large high school. With that comes a lot of challenges, which is why I was really interested in interviewing a lot of people on my project team to see how these challenges affect them and affect their job every day. So now switch the slide again. Sorry about that. Okay. So this is my project team. So basically this is just some of the names that I'll be using throughout my project. I'll try to explain it, actually tell you who they are when I use their names. But this is the people who are on site with me every day. It's a very large project team compared to most, but we've got some executives, some important people that are on our site a lot because it is a large project, but then we've got the project managers on one side, the superintendents on another. So now switch the slide again. So now this is all about the project managers. So I like to think of the project managers as the brains of the team. So PMs handle the day-to-day project finances and contracts. They also deal a lot with technical specifications, submittals, contract drawings. All of these are just fancy words for all of the things that tell us what needs to go into the building. It's easy to get lost in all of the paperwork with all of this, so it really takes a special person to be a good, successful project manager. With all of the paperwork comes a great deal of communication with other key players in the project. So PMs are constantly sending emails, talking on the phone, or sitting in meetings with the owner, the architect, subcontractors. All of this is to ensure that the work is being performed correctly. So of course, this doesn't always go according to plan, which is why many project managers would describe their job as some of the things listed on the bottom of this slide, like babysitter, therapist, or jack of all trades. The personality of a PM is often very patient and understanding. PMs are very good at listening to angry and frustrated people and finding ways to calm them down and satisfy them. They deal with a lot of big personalities in construction, and they're able to treat each person in a way that will work for them. So now switch the slide again. One of my project managers that I really look up to, his name is Steven, he added this comment after he told me about his job duties. I thought it was a really good point to bring up, that their job isn't as simple as just those things. There are very specific things that need to get done each day, and each team member has their own role to play on the team. But people in construction really realize that there is more to the job than just the job description. New issues come up every day, and sometimes people need to step up and help. So I think this is what Stephen was trying to get at when he said this. On our team, we know that in order for one of us to succeed, everyone needs to succeed. So team members can help each other when the need comes. So now switch the slide again. I like to think of superintendents as the muscle of the team. So a superintendent's role is to coordinate the work that is done on site. Superintendents are actually outside pretty much their entire day, and they work directly with the subcontractors. The personality of a superintendent is very different from a project manager, usually. So supers are often referred to as no-nonsense kind of people, which made interviewing them for this project particularly interesting. The thing about superintendents is that their priority is to put work in place. So that means get it done, just get the building built. So while a project manager might be able to go on for a while about what they do each day, a superintendent will just tell you this: coordinate subcontractors on site to put work in place. So they're pretty succinct and to the point about that, which is why this is pretty much all I can get out of them, but it's very telling to their personalities. So now switch the slide again. So we should be on the 9th slide now. And so this is all about the interviews that I conducted with the team. So I sat down with each of my team members and had a list of questions that I wanted to talk to them about. So I got some background information on them, just where they came from, where they went to school, things like that, to see if any of that might have an impact. And then I also asked them questions about why they're in construction, why they enjoy, if they enjoy what they do, what their favorite parts are, what their least favorite parts are, some challenges, and some other things. So this slide is really just about how the actual interviews went, because I thought that was actually very telling to their personalities and what they do. So basically I did it in phases, which the team wasn't entirely aware of. But first I told everyone about my project, and I read them the interview questions. And I did this during lunch one day when everyone was there. I did this to see their reactions. So they immediately started cracking jokes. Of course, they were supportive of my project. They were happy to help. But anything that could come close to being sentimental or pensive makes most of them turn into joke mode. So in my opinion, this is just a defense mechanism. Construction is an industry filled primarily with manly men, and they work with big power tools and equipment all day. So most of the guys would rather make jokes about why they love what they do than actually sit down and talk about it, and talk about what might be an emotional attachment to their job. So a few days later, I started the actual interviews. So I saw drastic differences between the project managers and the superintendents. For the most part, the project managers acted like mentors. They wanted to tell me all of the great things about their jobs, why they enjoyed it. They cautioned me against the challenges and gave me great insight into how to overcome them every day. What I've found is that project managers spend a lot of time in their jobs choosing the right words. They deal with contract documents and sensitive issues where what you say and how you say it are very important. So all of this requires a lot of time and thought, and this made interviewing them pretty enjoyable and fairly painless because they really do know how to talk and they enjoy talking. Superintendents, on the other hand, were a little bit different. They stayed true to their jokester selves during the interviews. So much of the superintendent interviews consisted of things such as, I deal with all of the BS that Nick makes me do, or whatever Pablo said, or my favorite, don't write that down. Superintendents are a little bit different. Sorry, one second. I can just scroll down on my screen to get my notes. So they spend most of their time on the job site, surrounded by heavy equipment and materials. Most superintendents find that the best approach to their job is to be aggressive, outspoken, and opinionated. So they often offset this in the job trailer with jokes and sarcasm to kind of lighten the mood a little bit. So most of the superintendents actually stopped themselves at some point during my interview and they said, "I'm sorry, I'll be serious now," or, "Oh yeah, I need to be proper and composed." But I reassured them that however they answered the questions was just fine. It was about being authentic and seeing their personalities rather than being serious and giving me something that they thought I wanted to hear. And so another interesting part of this, though, was that the interview settings were also fairly different between the superintendents and the project managers. Superintendents can be really hard to get a hold of, so they spend almost all of their day on site. So I actually had to kind of pull them immediately after lunch one day and say, "Wait, before you go outside, sit down with me for 2 seconds and answer some questions." So while I did this, that meant that when I was able to pull them away, it was actually just in the middle of the job trailer. There were a whole bunch of other people around who had all just ate lunch with us. So it was almost a little bit more difficult to get their attention, but in my opinion, it was more authentic this way because superintendents are always surrounded by people. They don't have a personal office to themselves. They have an office of all of them together. So I got to see them feed off of each other and their energy kind of feeding off of each other, which made their answers a little bit more authentic. Project managers are a little bit different, though. They each have their own office within the job trailer, which is important because project managers, while they do go on site for a good part of the day, they're inside for a lot more, working on their computers, working on their phones, doing paperwork and that type of thing. So looking at drawings, it's a little bit more interesting than paperwork. But so when it came time for the project manager interviews, I went into their office and we were able to close the door and I had their full attention without any distraction. So I think it's very telling of how these people handle their day-to-day work. So superintendents need to show off their authority and their personality so that subcontractors on site will respect them. Project managers need to give their full attention to the person in front of them or maybe on the phone with them so that they can get a different kind of respect from them as well. So this is, I just think, very telling of, when I sat down with them, the superintendents kind of needed those other people around to get that respect and that kind of authoritative feeling, where the project managers just need that one-on-one, calm, kind of personal connection to get that respect. So now you can change the slide again. We're going to go to slide number 10. Okay, so this slide is all about the challenges. So like I said a little bit earlier, my project is very large. It's actually a project that none of my team members are actually very used to working on projects of this size. They've been on larger projects before, but this project is a little bit unique for my company. So there are lots of challenges that we face every day. It's also just a particularly difficult project for lots of different reasons. So I wanted to hear about what my project team had to say about the challenges that they face and how they deal with them. So I talked with each team member about these challenges. One of the guys joked that his biggest challenge was getting up in the morning. It's funny, but in an industry that actually does get up with the sun, this can be a challenge to get to work at 6 a.m. every day. But every person I spoke with discussed the challenges that came along with working with so many different personalities. because construction seems fairly straightforward. It's a hands-on industry where the main goal is a result that you can see and touch. But construction really is a personal, emotional business. So while each of the people I interviewed stressed the challenges that come with so many of these different personalities, you can see here that one of the guys joked his biggest challenge was working with one of the superintendents on our team. He's actually his boss, so he was joking about that. But there's so many things that get in the way of completing a project successfully. So the superintendents have to coordinate the work on site to ensure it all goes in the right sequence, that certain subcontractors do the work that they can so that other subcontractors can follow and do their work correctly as well. This always creates a butting of heads, if you will, especially with guys who really do the work on site, superintendents, and our subcontractors as well. They have some big, aggressive personalities often. On the project management end, there are a lot of contracts that get in the way. Since they're worded so specifically, often very confusing, it's very important for the PMs to be able to communicate to subs in a very clear manner so that everyone understands what needs to be done. So this can often be a challenge for the project managers, but very important. It can also be a very stressful job. So a lot of the team members kind of alluded to the fact that they're very stressed in their job, and this is an added challenge. So, of course, the other challenges make them stressed, and then the stress becomes a challenge. So it's kind of a snowball effect, which is kind of unfortunate. But most of the guys, especially the project managers, alluded to this. So one of their biggest challenges is really just keeping a level head so that they don't get overwhelmed with all the work. And when they're able to kind of keep that level head, stay calm, they're able to get the work done much more easily, much more efficiently, which is extremely important. So switch the slide again. So what I told everyone is that I really wanted to get down to motivation for this project. I wanted to figure out what got them coming back to work every day. I thought this was really interesting, and I also thought it would be really important for me to learn about this because I could potentially work in their shoes one day, so I want to know what's going to get me out of bed every morning. So I wanted to know why they still do what they do. They told me about all of the challenges and all of the difficult parts of the job, and so it made most people wonder why they even do it, what makes them get up bright and early and get to work at 6 a.m. every morning. Everyone admitted that money is a big part of why they do it, but of course it is, it's a job and that's how it works. So they exchange money for services. But they all quickly followed that comment with some other explanation. They pointed out that there are so many things about the job that make them want to come back. We very much have a team atmosphere on my job site. In my company in general, that's a very big focus. So we work through problems together. We learn from each other. We joke around with each other when we have the time. These relationships are built over the span of a project. So we really do make people want to come back every day by having these relationships. It's not only about having fun with the team, but there's a responsibility that each person feels that they owe to the team. So they not only want to succeed on their own, but they want the others on the team to succeed as a whole. And a lot of the team members really said that this is what a big motivator for them, that they feel like they owe it to the other team members to come back each day. There's also this great problem-solving aspect of construction. So the majority of the people I interviewed actually studied civil engineering in college, just like I do. And as civil engineers, the basis of our education is problem-solving. So it makes us kind of use our brains and think in different ways each day. And this is really enjoyable for us. This makes a lot of them want to come back to kind of use their brains and think and problem-solve through all these different issues that come up. The last and most significant aspect of construction that motivates each of the team members to come back to work each day is the tangibility of a construction project. So after all of the challenges and all of the stress, the blood, sweat, and tears, the end result is a true product that you can see and touch and walk through and use. And other people do all of these things as well. Switch the slide just one more time. every single person I interviewed said that this is the best thing about their job, that they drive around town and they get to point at buildings and say, I built that, I built that, I built that. Everyone loves that. And I just think that's so cool. One last time. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a little bit about construction. I know I've learned a lot more through this project, learning about the people on the construction site rather than just the construction work itself. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it.